Hello, welcome to part 5 of my go-kart building adventure. Today is going to be engine plate. Decided to make my own, so we're going to see how this goes. Alright, I'm going to cut this thing down. It's going to be 17 3/4 long and then an 8-inch wide piece. And what I'm going to do is score an inch on either side and then bend them 90 degrees, and that'll give me my rigidity that I need. I'll just weld it back shut. But I'm going to cut this with a plasma cutter, so I'm just going to mark it out and start cutting. Alrighty, I don't know what's going on with my plasma cutter, but it was sure hanging up. So now I got to spend the next hour cleaning this slag off this thing. Okay, that didn't take as long as I thought. That was only about 20 minutes. But I'm going to clean this up before I start putting holes in it. Since it's flat, it'll be a lot easier. Alright, I gave up trying to get the mill scale off the bottom of this thing. The other side's clean, but this stuff is just a pain to get off. Alright, got my holes punched in. Now I got to cut these out in between here to make some slots. I'm going to do that with the plasma cutter and hope that it works a little better today. Well, that's much better. Changed my air pressure. Yeehaw. Alright, those turned out a lot better. I think it was just my air pressure. But we'll clean those up and move on. Ugh, that's a lot of filing. Sweet. Alright, they fit. Alright, now I gotta fold this thing on the sides. see if I got it. No, I didn't. Needs more. Ow. Ow. My blood in it now. There we go. Okay, I will not be making it that way again. That was a nightmare, but it's going to work for my purposes. And I designed this to be removed so I can always replace it if I absolutely can't stand it. I'm going to move on from here. Okie dokie. So the idea then is that this is going to sit right there, just below the surface of my tube. I'm going to weld some tabs in here and bolt this on. So I got to make these tabs. Alright, this is just drop right in here. Like so. Get that guy tacked in, or get the tabs tacked in. I can pull this guy off and work on something else. Tight one. All right, I'm going to work on my bearing carriers here. I need to figure out making it square to my engine plate. So what I did is I took some locking collars and put them on here. Took a square and then made a mark down here and then squared it, and both sides came out pretty close, so I'm going to run with that. But this will allow me to have a spot to get back to when I put these on. I'll just butt them right against it. But these are too short. I need to add 5/8 of an inch to the top of these, otherwise my cart's going to be dragging its butt on the ground. So make these taller, and then I'm going to add some gussets underneath, but I'm going to do that after they're on. because I think it'll be easier. But yeah, I got to make these taller, and then I can try and get them attached. Oh, new blades are heavenly. Something about like that. They didn't turn out too bad looking. Once I get them painted, you won't pay attention to them anyway. I'll be hidden behind a tire. But anyway, something like that. I ended up going with 3/4 instead of 5/8. Give myself a little bit more rise for the frame. But yeah, something like that. Alright, get these zapped on there, and then I gotta flip it over. Something like that. And that is really tight turn radius. That is really tight. It's a roller. No, it didn't collapse. Sweet. Well, I did notice that I got my sprocket a little bit close right here, but I put the chain on there and it clears, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, that's enough for this week. I've had it with, with working on this thing. Next week we'll be working on a plate to mount the brake caliper to, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.